You're listening to Productivity Monsters in the Morning. We are the energy vault your real estate business needs to get you up and out and excited and productive for the day. We go over trending topics and things that really matter in the market of the moment. Here are your hosts, Tiffany Hampton and Brooke Silva.
We do have
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I am keeping up with my ridiculous breakfasts. I need you to know I'm freezing today, so I've decided a bowl of ramen soup would be the best choice of breakfast to warm me up this morning before Turkey Day.
That's awesome. I had salad with chicken.
You know, this is a limiting belief that you can't have real food for breakfast.
Yeah, no. Well, in moving forward, I'm actually going to eat my carbs for breakfast. So I have all day to run them off.
Makes sense to me.
Right?
Makes sense to me. And I just wanted and of course I no homemade soup, but I've always got ramen for the kids hanging around. And I was like, you know what? I'm cold. I want my hands around a super hot molten bowl for breakfast. I was out of oatmeal, so ramen it is. But don't worry.
What's your favorite oatmeal?
I've got iced coffee, maple brown sugar,
Cinnamon raisin,
or the dinosaur eggs, because those are delicious.
The little facts that you're learning about Brooke and Tiffany. It's all good.
I love oatmeal. Anyway, let's get into this.
Last night, I was sitting in the car with my son, and he was having this conversation about peacetime presidents and wartime presidents. And I was like, oh,
okay.
And it brought me back to our world. And first off, I was like, well, tell me more, because I wanted to know how a 15-year-old thought about wartime and peacetime. That was a great conversation. And I'm so thankful that I get to drive him all over the place. And I will be very sad when he gets his license.
I know.
Because I will miss these times.
It's so funny.
Yeah. So I decided, in honor of Chris, I will dedicate today's morning call to peacetime and wartime.
Chris, aka Sasquatch.
Yes.
So this is an interesting topic because in our region, when we had a huge leadership event, David Fuhoris from Keller Williams International came to our region, and this was his topic that he brought to leadership for us. And is it peacetime or wartime was his big ask of everyone. And it is enlightening to hear what people think at the time, because for some, because of how they've planned it, maybe peacetime, but for others, it is war.
Right. And it really does depend. You know, it depends on where we are in our personal world, because the world could be in chaos.
Right.
We can be in our zen and in our peacetime.
You know, if we're going to talk about the book after, let's get to our affirmation, because this book is amazing. And my tech action today may blow your mind as well. But our affirmation today is, I'm victorious as I am willing to pay the price daily.
Right.
That tax, what are you putting in? What is that sweat equity?
Right.
That you're putting into your business every day as a CEO. And you know, what's funny is people have one way they tend to go towards. They may be a peacetime CEO naturally, or they may be a wartime leader. People are great under pressure. And it's really interesting to see how leaders go. I don't know if you were there. In our smaller rooms, he actually had people physically get up and move to peacetime and wartime in one of the breakouts. And I thought that was really fascinating to just watch the people move, and the ones who were laggards try to make a decision, because you had your group of people that were peacetime, wartime, and then a few people trying to figure out really and understand who they were in that time.
Yeah. And I feel like when we're moving in growth, no matter what the market looks like, in my opinion, it's wartime, right? Because you're putting your head down, you're creating your battle. What are your goals? How are you going to make it happen? And I think, my biggest thought on this is it's okay to struggle, right? And you can't live there.
And I think we have to live in both, because there are some good things about wartime CEOs and some of the stuff. And this is from the book, The Hard Things About Hard Things. I can never remember the author's name. I know his first name's Ben Horowitz. But peacetime in business is generally when a business has a competitive advantage and the market's growing.
Right.
Where wartime is where the business is facing an immediate threat from a competitor, an economic climate, or a market shift. That last word, right?
Right.
I mean, we are wartime, but we have to be both, because the peacetime CEO sets us up for the good parts of the wartime CEO.
Yes. Yep. And the other part of that conversation is when you're in wartime or peacetime is really where you're building out great systems, where you're taking the time to work inside your business and make things really operate the way you desire it. When you're in wartime, you're really into, okay, now I have to, in our world, lead generate, build relationships, and the longer it takes you to get to that mindset, the longer it's going to take to see the results. And sometimes folks, they just wait too long.
Yeah. And it's okay to not, we've talked so much about struggle and the pain, and how if you're uncomfortable, that's a good thing. You've got to get uncomfortable to get comfortable. And a lot of the stuff that the author talks about in this book is getting those protocols, models, systems tight, because if our agents did that, we would never have to teach shift, right? That book would have not been written if everybody followed models and systems that were so tight that they didn't have to. Our mega agents are not worried about this shift like some of our newer agents are, or some of our agents that haven't been plugged in. When you talk to top agents, they are not running around with their hair on fire.
No, because they just, and again, going back to the real estate industry, it's been 8 years of a great market.
Yeah. And now is the time to squirrel away and get tight and right. And yet you and I are seeing very different things. I am seeing agents with no systems just throw money away at empty promises of lead gen companies because our agents don't have the right systems and models to support how those businesses operate and give them the leads.
Right.
Because nobody ever, this is like one of the biggest myths. You get guaranteed leads, but do you get guaranteed closings and clients and people to pick up the phone?
Right.
And if you think you're the only person buying that lead, you are wrong. You are getting the chance to get in front of them first. And peacetime CEOs have those systems in place to make sure that anything they're paying for and the people around them are empowered to get speed to lead and do the things they need to close and get in front of that person.
Yeah. And this is also the time, what should you be looking at, right? What information should you be absorbing? What data should you be looking at, right? When you're looking at data, are you going into the MLS every day and looking at how many properties are going under contract, pending, price changes?
New to
Do
market.
you have that information? One thing that I did in my business is our company has this thing called multi-year trend report.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I love the multi-year trends.
Right? For the state of Maine, I have a Maine multi-year trend report that for the last 12 years tells me everything that the market does, right? So I know that when we had our last downturn, there were around 12,000 sales. So at the worst, we'll probably see around 12,000 sales. So my question is, okay, based on that data, based on what my personal financial goals are, how many of those 12,000 would I need to secure?
Right. Right. And the other thing is, where are you finding your data? We are thrown so many messages in a day, right, that we have to be the true aggregator of the real data. So your MLS is the truest place to get the information and study it and watch the trends, not only hyper local and local, but also on the national, on your regional and your worldwide level. Because when somebody says something that's untrue or asks a question about the market, you have all this ammunition to have bigger conversations with people. Because I hate the question, how's the market? Which market? Star market, supermarket, real estate market, like here, there, what buyer, seller, like it's too open-ended.
I always add on to that. Are you looking at the market in as a buyer, a seller, or an investor? Mm-hmm. Right? Because the market's different for every one of those.
It is. And the other thing is that I am so big on making sure that you can source the data and that the data is true, accurate, and up to date. The amount of visuals and incorrect things I often see reposted on social media hurts us as a whole, as an industry. And we've got to be the source of true data and a hyper-local expert for our own communities.
Well, it's telephone, right?
Telerealtor, yeah.
Yeah, because there's this post going around, and I remember what the original post looked like, and then I've seen that post and it's been changed 7 times since, and what that original post looked like and what today, night and day, right? And we're, we always get this information. What I love about our company is like, it literally comes from Gary's mouth, right? So we hear it firsthand. And yet even what I've heard firsthand that have come out of his masterminds, I listen to the people that are telling the story 3, 4, 5, 6 times down, and it's not the same story.
It's not. And things get lost in translation. They really do. And sometimes you need to hear things and you're not ready. So qualify the data, make sure you can source it, make sure it's accurate and true, especially in a world where everything stays forever. Once it's on the web, it is there forever.
Even when you delete it.
Even if you delete it, I can find it. I proved this with my children over and over while they were young teenagers. They're not always the smartest. So, Tiffany, what do you want them to do?
I really want them to focus on some great questions, right? I want them to gather intel. Where are they in their world right now? Where do they see their struggles? What are you not doing that you should be doing? Who should be in your world? What data should you be taking on? Who should not be in your world?
Right.
Where should you be showing up? So asking those great questions and really defining, okay, based on the knowledge I have, who are the people that I should surround myself? Who is the data I should surround myself with? And when I'm struggling in thought, what is that one trigger that's going to make me make the switch? Because we've said before, you control your first thoughts. You can't control your first thoughts, but you can absolutely control the thoughts after that and the actions you take based on those thoughts. So the hard things about hard things, please read it. And I know your tech action item has a lot to do with that.
It does. So we're providing a link. So if you've never had Audible, there's an Audible trial and it gives you a lot of stuff. So my nerd secret is that I listen to so many of these books just like you do. I listen to them at either 1.5 or 2 times the speed. And you might think it's like listening to the Micro Machines guys from the 80s on that commercial. But what I have found is when I listen on 1.5, it's just fast enough to, one, get me through the book quicker, but I have to pay attention because I'm really good with Audible with being like, oh, ideas. But when I listen at 1.5 or 2, I have to focus on what it's doing because it's going by rapidly.
Right.
And I can go back at any time. And every book that we listen to on Audible, I have a copy of because it's how I roll. But this is one of those books where I want you to download Audible. I want you to put it on your phone. Make sure you download it on your Wi-Fi before you step out, because sometimes with Audible, it won't let you do it over a wireless data connection. You have to be on a Wi-Fi network, not just your cellular data. And try it out. Audible has been a godsend to help me get through the massive amount of leadership books and fun books I want to read, so that I'm reading anywhere between 5 to 10 books a week. Yep. With all my travel.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing. I listen to 2 books and about nine podcasts. And I do that because of the speed. It's important. Like at the end of the day, what's important about filling yourself with knowledge is the fact that you don't know what you don't know till you know it. And you don't know how important what you didn't know is to your life.
Right. Right. Wow. So we've given them a lot. We've been giving them a lot of books. Yeah. A lot of books.
Well,
we read a lot.
Yeah, I feel like so moving forward, some of the things we're going to do, we're going to really focus on the MREA book, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. We're going to dive deep into that because that's where we should be focused. And even it doesn't really matter what sales business you're in, change the words in that book and it will make you successful.
Any business, not just sales. I will say that is the framework for any successful business.
Yep.
Because every business needs customers. Any business. So
starting in December, we're going to have guests. So you're not going to hear from Brooke and Tiffany. And we're just going to drive the train, and hopefully you're getting value out of these. Please share if you're getting value. Share comments. Let us know what, if you're finding value, what changes you're making in your life.
All right. Well, Tiffany, you have a fabulous Chinese food Thanksgiving with your family.
Thank you. You too. Well, you have a fabulous whatever you're going to eat.
Well, it's not going to be ramen noodles. I promise.
That's today.
That's today.
Bye.
Bye.